The latest round of US airstrikes against the Iran-backed Houthi terrorists in Yemen has killed dozens of people. These are bombardments that targeted a port in the northwest of Yemen. The strikes, which happened late last week, were part of an escalating campaign by the Trump administration against the Yemeni terrorist group. The Houthis have been firing rockets and drones at Israel in a campaign which it says is in solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. Not just that, they've also been attacking ships in the nearby Red Sea. The American bombardment targeted the port of Ras Isa, which is a major fuel depot in the Houthi-controlled province of Houdaida. At least 74 people were killed and more than 150 others wounded, according to a statement put out by Anis al-Azbahi, who is a spokesman for the Houthi-run health ministry in Yemen. The toll of 74 dead and 150 plus injured could not be independently verified, but the figure could make the American airstrike one of the deadliest since President Trump began escalating American attacks on Houthis from mid-March. Since that escalation began, close to 200 people have been killed since. US officials have offered very little information to the public on the recent American operations against the Houthis. The Department of Defense has declined to comment on the reported death toll in Houdaida. Since entering office, President Trump has ramped up efforts which were started under the previous Biden administration to try and degrade the Houthis. Trump has vowed that the Houthis would be completely annihilated. Trump has also tightened American sanctions against the Houthi group and redesignated the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization. But increasingly forceful American strikes on the Houthis are yet to deter the terror group from carrying out further attacks. In closed briefings, Pentagon officials have acknowledged that the heavy bombardment has had limited success in destroying the Houthis and their vast, largely underground arsenal of weapons. Also, the war has been asymmetric in nature, with the Houthis using far cheaper weapons compared to the American missiles, which cost tens of millions per equipment. Meanwhile, the Houthis have also said that they would welcome a greater conflict with the United States, which is their declared enemy. Experts have also warned that attacking ports like Ras Isa could worsen the already dire conditions in Yemen. The United Nations has described the humanitarian crisis in Yemen as the world's largest, with about 80% of the population of Yemen in desperate need of essential aid. The Houthis began their attacks on Israel after the war in Gaza began in October of 2023, which was ignited by the Hamas-led terrorist attack on Israel. Most of the Houthi projectiles have been intercepted by Israeli air defenses. But more than the attacks on Israel or on American troops, the Houthis seem to have got collective attention of the world with the attacks on ships in Red Sea shipping lanes, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Now, in theory, the Houthis say they only attack ships which carry the flags of either Israel or America or any of the European NATO allies. But the reality is that even third country ships which have flags of neutral countries, even they have been targeted by the Houthi gunfire. This has forced many mercantile shipping companies to take a much longer, more circuitous and more expensive route around the Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa. In January of 2024, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution demanding that Houthis immediately stop attacking commercial ships. The United States and Britain subsequently began bombarding Houthi targets. The terror group briefly stopped firing rockets at Israel during a 2-month ceasefire between Israel and Hamas earlier this year. But after Israel ended the truce in mid-March with a renewed offensive in Gaza, the Houthis have resumed firing ballistic missiles at Israeli territory, as well as attacking ships in the Red Sea shipping lanes. The US military's Central Command, which oversees operations in the Middle East, has said that it had targeted the Ras Isa port because of shipments of fuel which was still flowing into the port in defiance of American sanctions. America fears that these fuel shipments are being used to allow funds to flow into the Houthi coffers, which enables them to procure these weapons, which are then unleashed on ships passing through the Red Sea. Houdaida's ports are also the main conduit by which fuel, food, and aid enter into impoverished northern Yemen, where more than 20 million people live. But it's not just the enriching of the Houthis in Yemen that America is concerned about, because ultimately it is about Yemen's puppeteer, Iran, which is what America is concerned about. Since returning to office, the Trump administration has held talks with Iran in a bid to try and restrict its nuclear program, which analysts say has reached 60% enriched uranium.
With Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon, and if they have a nuclear weapon, you'll all be very unhappy. You'll all be very unhappy.
Have you spoken with
Your life will be in great danger.
Iran could be just months away from 90% enriched uranium, which is what is required to make a nuclear bomb. Trump, back in his first term, had pulled out of a six-nation deal that was arrived at with Tehran, a deal which was hammered out during the term of his predecessor, Barack Obama. Trump now wants to revive parts of that deal. He's advised his team of negotiators to engage with Iran. Subsequently, Iranian and American officials met through their mediators in Oman for the first ever talks between both countries since 2022. Many analysts say that the Houthis are merely a front for Iran, and the use of these proxies, whether it's the Houthis or Hamas or Hezbollah, are simply designed to exert maximum pressure on Israel until Iran acquires a nuclear device. And if that were to happen, if Iran indeed manages to procure a nuclear bomb, it will change the very dynamics and the security architecture of the Middle East in an irreversible way. Israel's security and its very existence will be under permanent threat from a nuclear-enabled Iran. Until then, Iran is making do with its proxies, the Houthis being one of them. Which is why America, and in particular the Trump administration, is hell-bent on bombing them out of existence.